Common sense isn't gone. It just needs a comeback. Common Sense Superheroes with David and Greg.
I got my toes in the water, ass in the sand. Not a worry in the world, a cold beer in my hand. Greg's life was pretty good last week, but he's back to reality. Welcome back to another episode of Common Sense Superheroes, episode number 28. We up at Greg Olson land. We up Matt Olson. Greg Olson. What am I thinking? Matt Olson land. Greg, welcome back, my friend.
It is, well, I'd say it's good to be back, but truth be told, I'd rather still be where I was back last week. But no, man, I've made no attempts to hide it. The good Lord has blessed me far beyond what I deserve, David. And I spent the last week in one of the most beautiful places I think I've ever been, with absolutely the most beautiful woman on the world. So I'm rested, relaxed. I have no idea what y'all were doing back here in the States, and don't really give a damn, because I was in my happy place.
He was in Mexico, Cabo San Lucas, correct?
That is it, my man.
And
Beautiful place.
what I saw just one pic of y'all just basically sleeping in the chair, but I know you probably did more than that. Is any excursions or anything? Or did we have
We
some food that we like? Did you get Montezuma's Revenge? Did you get that? That's step
No,
one.
we did manage to have a little private sunset boat trip on her actual birthday. So it was just me, her, and our two best friends and the captain and crew. And that was sailing
Nice.
around that coast, man. There's some scenery that, from my perspective, and I've always been a guy that really kind of finds that connection and has an appreciation for nature. And when you can just look at things as God created them and that we haven't messed up yet, it just gives you a perspective of how blessed we all truly are.
Well, you sent me a picture of y'all on that little sunset tour and sunset cruise, and man, so pretty. The sunset in the background was pretty. Haley was looking as good as ever, and I was like, what did Greg do to deserve this? What in the world?
Pray a lot, David. I
Man,
pray a lot.
prayer does work. If you want to know if prayer works, just take a look at Greg and take a look at his wife. It does work. She puts up with a lot. Uh, we won't go there on the TikTok, but she puts up with a lot, is all I'm saying. But while you were gone, Greg, Rory McIlroy won the Masters. Was you able to watch any of the Masters before you took off?
We flew out on Saturday, or we flew out on Sunday. So yeah, we got there just in time to catch the last few holes. Honestly, I was impressed. I did not expect Rory to have the focus. I certainly didn't expect back-to-back winners. Uh, but man, it's just, as always, more that tournament just seems to find a way to have the cream rise to the top. That Sunday leaderboard is almost always big names, stud players, and more often than not, it's pretty interesting for the last hour and a half, one way or another.
Yeah, I continue to get hate off my post saying that I did not want Roy to McIlroy to win, but I don't mind. I love hate. Bring it on. Whatever you got to do to get engagement.
I think early on in his career, you and I probably share the same opinion. Like he just came across kind of as a spoiled brat back in the day. But I've heard some interviews, and again, there's been some comments where I think he's put his foot in his mouth a little bit in regards to some of the live tour stuff. I mean, none of us are perfect, and when we get caught up in questions off guard. I mean, and sometimes you just tell the truth and you tell what you're thinking in the moment. I think we've got a president that does that a lot right now, and that seems to irritate people. But
Yes, we
I've heard
do.
some stuff from Rory in the last few years that I think he's grown a lot. I think his respect for the game, his appreciation of the people that came before him, and frankly, I've just heard him gloss over, and his glowing love for Augusta National makes me think that's an all right dude, in my opinion.
I got to give him props for not going with live. I'm sure he could have got upwards of 800 million that they apparently were offering Tiger to actually go to live, but he did not. He stuck with the PGA Tour, and I appreciate that. I love the fact that he did that. There's some rumors about the live possibly falling apart, and I wouldn't mind it. Bring all of them back. I mean, I was a little upset that Brooks was able to come back and just start playing again after taking all the money, because you can't get your cake and eat it too, but apparently you can if you're Brooks Koepka. So I
Well,
was a
and
little upset.
I think what's really caught up to those guys, and again, who can fault them for taking the money that was offered? I mean, it's just absurd
Yeah.
amounts that some of those guys got. But I think you know the two big names that I think about are Koepka and John Rahm, and the fact that neither of those guys has won a like it seems like I don't know if it's just the playing conditions or the competitiveness over there, but those guys think they believe they could go play over there, take all the money, still come back and grab a couple of majors here and there and stack those. And I just don't think it's worked out that way. And I think that's really what has kind of taken some of the polish off the live tours, that when those guys come back over here and play in the big tournaments, you just don't see a whole lot of them because they're not on the leaderboard.
Yeah, like we said, excuse me, Tiger and Phil not playing in the Masters this year was an odd feeling. Not that we expected them to compete, but I did enjoy this year's Masters. It was fun. Watch, had some guys pop up out of nowhere.
And you got
DeChambeau
a
was in
coffee
it.
cup.
I got a coffee cup. Shout out to my boy Jake. Very. I, this podcast is paying off already just because I got me a coffee cup. That's all I care about. But it was a good one. I enjoyed it. Like I said, getting hate, but we're done with the Masters for now. We got to move on. Well, Greg, you got something you want me to add?
Well, I was just going to point out, ain't nobody sent me shit yet.
Ain't nobody sent Greg nothing. They can't send it to your house. You ain't ever there. Hell, they probably sent it. They got sent back. You're always on damn vacation. What are they supposed to send you?
We
Travel
did find
pillow.
out.
Send Greg a travel pillow because apparently his ass travels all the time.
Amazon delivers to Cabo. We figured that out.
I want to send nothing to Cabo. If they send it to Cabo, they want to send themselves to Cabo. It wasn't as beautiful as you've heard, or is that the first time you've been? Or
It is the first time I've been to that particular destination. I mean, I hate to sound like that guy, but I mean, you know, it's a high level, all inclusive resort. It's exactly what you think. My personal opinion, and I'll put it out there. Next time I'd probably just go back to Jamaica or somewhere in the Caribbean because a 2 hour flight's better than a 4 hour flight.
he can't get enough of Senior Frogs. He does not grow out of Senior Frogs, people. He's stuck in the '90s spring break era. Man, I know it's past spring break, and I know I'm getting old, but the nostalgia for MTV spring break back in the day, how I love that. Oh man, when they'd be at Club La Vila and the bikinis were just everywhere and everybody was ripped and they was just all fake and everything and they were setting stuff up. Jenny McCarthy's playing Single Out. Daisy Fuentes, who's married to Richard Marx, threw me off. But man, that just makes me think spring break when you say Senior Frogs and stuff.
I only have one that I can tell La Vila story, and I'll just shorten the version of it was about a 1.2 mile walk to La Vila and about a 4 mile walk back. Don't know how that happened, but I do know it happened.
A little crooked, not exactly a straight line on the way back, shall we say. Those jelly shots start rolling in pretty good. I love spring break back then. It was very fun, but I was too lazy to go, much like I am now. I don't know why I talk all that big game like I'm gonna go to some place like that, but I don't do crowds. And that got me thinking of concerts. Greg, if there's a concert that you would be willing to go to right now of today's people, not like Elvis or the Beatles or anybody that's no longer in. But if there was a concert today outside of Taylor Swift that you would go to, who would it be and why?
I'm going to flip this on you, and we're going to play a different game because I'm going to tell you I have a concert trip coming up in my very near future, and I'm going to let you try to guess who I'm going to see. I'll
Riley
give you
Green.
one clue.
Okay.
It ain't my concert. I
It
am
ain't
not
your
going,
concert.
but it's
So
a big one.
you're going back out to Vegas to watch Backstreet Boys.
No,
Well,
I believe
all
I've
right.
got a box seat for Saturday for Bruno Mars in Atlanta.
That's gonna be a great concert. Bruno
I'm
Mars
not a
is
Bruno guy,
dude,
but my wife loves, hot young wife loves Bruno.
hey, I have hardly yet to hear a bad song by Bruno Mars. You can say you don't like him, but when his stuff comes on the radio, I can't find myself turning it off. I love it.
It's just a genre thing. I am just not into any of that pop like that. That's just not my thing. I do like legit hip hop, and I'll do country and rock, but I just can't get into the pop stuff at all.
A little pop in it. Let it pat. When he talks about perm,
Your hero. I can't listen to Michael Jackson. I can
I
respect the talent, but I can't listen to his music.
because of the situation,
No,
or
I just don't
because
like
of,
the music.
Well, that's weird. That is odd. No wonder you don't like Bruno Mars because he's almost like a Michael Jackson, minus the pedophilia, hopefully. Bruno Mars, his story, I believe he was homeless, drug addict in Hawaii or something, or drug addict family. And now look at him. Put Bruno Mars out there every year for the Super Bowl, and I'll be happy.
Well, I will say that when I proposed to hot young wife, I jokingly said I'm gonna get Bruno to play at our wedding, and I don't have the the connections to
Mhm.
pull those strings.
Even
So we
back
are
then, he was more popular than you could afford.
yeah, so our 10-year anniversary is on Thursday, so Saturday, I'm taking her to see Bruno for our 10-year anniversary celebration since I couldn't get him to come to the wedding.
Nice. Well, that is a good one. That's not bad. And you got box seats. Is it at Mercedes-Benz or State Farm?
I have no idea, I'm just going. She books everything, dude. I am a passenger princess. I have no itinerary, no notes, I just say, "What do I wear and what time do I put it on?"
I only wanna go to a concert if I'm close enough. If I'm way back and watching off a screen, I'm like, "I might as well just be at home with this." But that's my old man grumpiness taking effect, and I don't like concerts in big, huge stadiums. But if I were to go to a concert in a big, huge stadium that I wanted to enjoy, I gotta say, probably have to go Morgan Wallen. As far as a concert experience, I would have to go Morgan Wallen, man. Did you
Well, up
see Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Up until recently, my bucket list concert was I wanted, and it's crazy because you started off with the tune, and that's as close as you got me to joining in and singing, and we bring out a little Zach Brown. But when Zach and Jimmy Buffett were touring together, I told everybody if they get anywhere near me and we can get our hands on tickets, I would have loved to see Zach Brown and Jimmy Buffett together. But having said that, I think Zach Brown would probably be the if I was going to say the next concert I would want to go attend, I'd love to go see Zach Brown play.
That would be good, and I'm coming from Thomaston, I got a couple of guys that are almost well, one's in the band, one's basically does all the lighting and all the stage stuff for the band, Rustin Shiflett and Coy Bowles, and I've yet hopefully I get popular enough that they can, A, remember who I am, and B, hook a brother up with some tickets, and if they do, I'll be more than happy to take you. But I don't see it happening because 'cause I'm not that popular yet, but they are in the
Maybe they can
band,
get
and they
Zach
are
Brown to join us on the show.
they are killing it. They are killing it. I gotta give them props. Big kudos. I give Corey kudos in the fact that he writes children's books, to which I read my kids. Will Powers. It's good stuff. But my concert I might would have to go to, Greg, outside of, like I said, Taylor Swift, of course. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Taylor Swift? Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen puts on a heck of a show just to see his walkout. And did you see his walkout? He performed as a Tennessee boy in Tuscaloosa over the weekend. And did you see who he brought out to do the
No, all I
walkout?
saw was hot young wife in bathing suits. I wasn't paying attention to anything else.
Way better than this, perhaps. Tuscaloosa, there's only one name you can bring out. And of course, that's I wish he would have brought out Row Tide Willie, but he brought out one Nick Saban. And man, you talk about the place going buck wild as soon as they showed Nick Saban on that screen. He's still Nick Saban. If he said, I'm thinking about coming back, they would kick Kalen DeBoer out so freaking fast. It ain't even funny. He is legend in there. You could have dug up uh Bear Bryant, and he may not have got the accolades that Nick Saban got, but him bringing out somebody every time, and that's the little gimmick he has, it's great. I gotta give him props.
Eh,
Morgan's getting it done.
I have heard he is not only a tremendously talented artist, but I've heard he is a hell of a performer. Like you said, he goes all out, and it is, in this day and age, I hate to say, I mean, you feel so many times that professional athletes or artists, sometimes you just get a performance where you can tell they're just kind of mailing it in, they're just showing up to get a check. So I respect anybody, especially at that level, who just says, "Hey, I'm gonna go out there every night, whether I feel it or not, and I'm gonna give the folks every bit of what they paid for." God bless him.
He's he seems to crush it, and he's got some catchy songs. I like a lot of the songs, and we joke about Taylor Swift, but you gotta give her props of the amount of shows that she does and the money she generates. She's a small country, let's be honest. She's you got I don't wanna hate on her, Greg, I can't, but Morgan Wallen's up there for me, I'd like to go. If you were to come to Atlanta, which I guess he's going to, he brought out, like, a Chipper Jones and all that last time. Who if you were performing, Greg, and you were to bring out somebody in Atlanta for you as a walkout, kinda like a la Morgan Wallen style, who is someone you'd bring out with you?
I mean, for my generation, and it wouldn't hit, but I'd want to come out and recognize Dale Murphy.
Not bad, not bad. I'd love to see Dale at a country show. He
It wouldn't
does
hit with this generation, but that like
it would
as far as a
not.
recognition standpoint, I still don't believe Dale Murphy's ever got the love he deserved from the Atlanta folks.
He 100% does not. From the Major League Baseball folks, he has not got the love. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. Playing on that team, as bad as they were, I get it. They were not a good team, but to win MVP on teams like that says you're doing a lot, and he did a lot. You've got to
If
give the man
Andrew
his
Jones is
props.
a Hall of Fame Brave, Dale Murphy needs to be as well.
I agree. However, I still think they both should be good. I'm not going to hate on Andrew like you always do. How dare you, sir? If I was to bring out somebody that epitomizes not even Atlanta, let's say state of Georgia, but Atlanta in general, can you not bring out Andre and Big Boy of Outkast? Come on, man. Do we not think Atlanta when you see those 2, do you not think Atlanta? Jermaine Dupri, props too. I gotta give you props for that. But I don't think T.I., even though I know he's Mr. Atlanta, but Outkast, baby. I'm bringing out Big Boy, who does a
Man,
great cooking show on his Instagram. He does good.
I saw Outcast in, I believe it was '98 in Athens, and from what I remember, it's one of the best nights of my life.
What you remember is right. There was probably a lot of skunks released that night in Athens. That's just tells my age, but I'd have to bring out Outkast. Speaking of Atlanta, Greg ain't been keeping up with it because he's been beach bound, but the Atlanta Braves sweep sweep, sweep the hated Philadelphia Phillies and have continued their streak of not losing a daggum series. Greg, I know you're not really paying much attention, but I'm sure you've heard the Braves are on a friggin' roll, son.
Yeah, I think, after the start they got off to last year, this is just such a refreshing change of pace, and when you factor in, some of the injuries and the limitations we're still facing, I mean, it can only get you excited for the rest of the season if we start getting some of those guys back, start filling out that pitching staff and filling out some of those spots in the lineup. I mean, we've had some pleasant surprises from what I've watched. The little bit I've seen, I don't think Ronald hadn't found his groove really yet, and it's been kind of a team effort. I paid attention enough to see where my boy Austin's gotten pretty hot here in the last few games. But man, I'm excited. I'm ready to sit still for a little while. I don't think we have any big time travel coming up, and might be time to plop down my $99 for Braves Vision if I can figure out how to make it work and start paying attention a little bit.
But your boy Austin continues to show out at third base. He should win Golden Gloves every daggum year. But our corners, I don't know of a better third base, first base combo than those two defensively. And the bats are starting to come around for Austin Riley. But defensively on that, he made a play last night, Austin Riley, where he was damn near in the Phillies dugout and threw a missile, one hop that Olsen just scooped. Beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
am, and I don't want to take any shine away from the kid. I am as big a fan and respectful of the talent that Ronald Acuna has. But if he was not on that team, Austin Riley and Matt Olson would get a whole lot more recognition and appreciation, and they absolutely deserve it. Because, like you said, that's about the best corner duo in the game, and both of those guys at any given point can get hot for an 8 to 10 game stretch and absolutely carry that team. We've seen it happen.
Who else is getting hot? Finally, speaking of Andrew Jones, there's times where Andrew Jones looked like he couldn't hit a ball to save his life, but was great defensively, and that's the case with one Michael Harris. Since having a baby boy, the third of Michael Harris, the third, I believe, he has been on fire. He's been lighting the ball up. He hit a bomb last night and continues to play great defensively. He's got a little spark back. I love to see it, especially a homegrown boy, dadgum Georgia boy. I think he probably played out in East Cobb, which we played yesterday. The East Cobb Astros, one of the number one teams in the state. My boy played, and they beat us 8-0. But that's besides the point. I'll get into that maybe on a later episode. But Michael Harris is starting to heat up. Cunha still just hasn't got it yet. Just you get one little bit of hope, and he just hasn't got caught on yet, but he's getting there. And pitching has been great. Iglesias has showed out this year, closing it up. He Last year he got hot towards the end, but in the middle there, I was like, let's get him out of here. Why are we re-signing him? But turns out I was wrong. Alex Anthopoulos knows a little bit about what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I said I think we got to be at an encouraging place and just hope that we can start getting some of these guys back off the injured list and keep the guys healthy that are performing. And again, it never hurts to sweep your biggest rival in the division and get a little cushion there. So everything's looking up, and let's avoid that summer swoon that's inevitable.
Talking about me and not wanting to go anywhere because I'm a homebody at heart. I really am. I would stay home in a heartbeat and just hang out with my wife and kids, even though they might want to go somewhere. I'm so lazy when it comes to that. I shouldn't be because this week I got an email yesterday, as a matter of fact, talking about that Gwinnett Stripers, which is 20 minutes down the road from me. Spencer Strider and Sean Murphy are both going to have some rehab assignment work that takes place there. So if you get last year we got a chance to go see Ronald Acuna when he was doing his rehab work and seeing him up close and personal. I feel like I got to go watch Spencer Strider and to go watch Sean Murphy as well would be great to have that combo pitcher catcher, seeing it that close in a minor league ballpark, which is the best way to watch baseball, plain and simple.
It is absolutely the purest way to watch baseball. That's for darn sure. Yeah, I love the college game, but there's just no purity with the metal bats. And frankly, the scope of these, I'm scared to death of metal bats right now. You couldn't convince me to play infield these days.
Heck no.
But the minor league, and when most of those cats are making about $1,200 a month, riding a bus all around the South and just swinging wooden bats. That's the way baseball should be. For the love of the game, that's the way it should be.
It was really cool last year to see Acuna up close and personal like that, and the boys just getting excited, thinking like, "Man, that's Ronald Acuna." I was like, "I know, that's the guy," and possibly to see Spencer Strider and Sean Murphy. Sadly, Sean Murphy, you get a lot of chances to see him because I feel like he's hurt every single year. Strider, same with him. Last year, I think he came back, did a rehab assignment, but did it away from Gwinnett. This year, he's going to be doing it in Gwinnett. So I'm hoping we get out there to see that. But the Braves on fire, baby, winning the series is F the Phillies. And I cannot say how happy I am that the Mets are on a huge struggle bus, losing 11 in a row. Take that for all that money you get. That's what you get, Juan Soto, for being greedy.
I mean, look, we both talked about the baseball season is to say long is an understatement. It's it's an epilogue. But I mean, like I said, a 3-game sweep of the Phils at the same time the Mets are losing 10 or 11 in a row. That doesn't hurt your chances in the East when those are likely going to be the two biggest competitors when it's all said and done. It's early though.
Dodgers continue to roll. My God. That's you should when you spend that amount of money. And at least Otani did it right as far as
That lineup
deferring.
with the Dodgers can roll out there at
It's
night. It looks like
disgusting.
the old beer batters lineup. So who do you pitch to?
It's disgusting is what it is, and that is a good analogy. That's pretty close. You pitch around old number 40 who hit 4 out in 1 game. That's who you don't pitch to. I tell you that much. Somebody had learned that lesson. Dodgers, like I said, Otani did the right way as far as deferring a lot of his money. Soto said, "Hey, give me all my money now." And what did that do? That caused you to lose Pete Alonso. That caused you to lose Edwin Diaz. Tiny said, "Defer it and give me some big names." And look what's happened.
Even beyond that, and let me just take the opportunity again because I feel like I have to anytime that cat is brought up. If you've got any passion, respect, love of the game of baseball, pay attention to what that dude is doing right now because it is simply otherworldly. Like the only person you can compare him to is Babe Ruth. And I'm telling you, David, you and I've had this conversation too. Swap ears, put Shohei in Babe's ear and Babe in Shohei's ear, and what you think you get? What Shohei Otani is doing right now is absolutely almost indescribable.
He is showing out. He's quite impressive. You can't say enough good words about him, just like you can't say enough. The difference is like Barry Bonds, you can't say enough good words about him as a player, but you can say a lot of bad words about him as a person. Tiny, I haven't heard anything. There was a little gambling issue last year, but
Ain't
other
nothing wrong
than
with that.
that, other than that, there's nothing. It seems like a phenomenal cat. You can't, and maybe because I don't understand what he's saying, but still, go watch him. There's no other way to say it. Plain and simple. You're watching the greatest you'll ever see.
I'm saying go watch it because you are witnessing history. Like this has nothing like this has been seen in 100 years, and there's a chance it's not seen again for another 100. I'm hopeful that maybe him being able to execute it at this level will inspire some folks to continue to try to stay down both paths because it used to bug me. I'm going to at what point because I played through high school and tried to play a little in college, and even at that level, like I was always one of the better pitchers on the team and always one of the better hitters on the team. And I go, why don't people try to do both? At what point does anybody that can throw just decide to put down the stick and stop swinging? Because I remember, like, growing up, your pitchers are always one of the best athletes. They're usually one of the best hitters. So hopefully we can get back to some of that and let some kids just continue to try to do both as long as possible. And then if you get up to the minors or majors and you can't pull it one way or another, then you can focus. But I'm hoping we see a few more folks give it a run. But man, it's truly truly impressive.
Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, your Greg Maddux, your Nolan Rhines, everybody that's a pitcher that was dominant, I promise you at one time was the best hitter on their team, bar none. No questions asked. That's how it went. I don't know where the disconnect happened. I'm thankful if we if you're gonna have one side that's gonna do DH, you gotta have both sides. I used to think it was a little silly when the pitcher would come up and you're like, "What are we doing? He's not even gonna wave at the ball. He might bunt." Then every now and then one would hit a home run, you get super excited, but you're like, you're basically losing an out here. So if you're gonna have DH on the American League, I'm glad they switched it to make it where we have it on the National League as well. But I do enjoy watching a pitcher hit, like you said, with Shohei Ohtani.
But even what you talked about used to bother me because you see so many of those pictures, and it literally looked like the only 4 times a week they touched a bat was the 4 times they had to dip in the
Yeah,
box live.
no
And I'm
care.
going, at some point, if you're enough of an athlete to be a major league pitcher, you're enough of an athlete to make some effort to be a hitter too. Please just try. Show me something.
You know we can see you, right? Like, you up there taking those little half janky swings. I'm like, "Of course we're gonna be making fun of you." That's why people don't think you're athletes, even though you absolutely are. Who else is an athlete is Mason Miller for the Padres. Dude is lights out, son. 33 and a something innings without a score, giving up a run. Oh, man, I wish we coulda got him.
Great intro tune too.
He does. Is it the one he's got corn, don't he? Yes. The relief pitchers now bringing it. Edwin Diaz. I like the Timmy trumpet or whatever.
I
I like
still and
that. But the Metallicas and the corn when they come out and the lights go out and all that,
I know
fantastic.
I know I've shared it with you. I don't know if I've shared it on here, but one of the again, I've been so incredibly blessed, but one of the highlights of my life was I was in Yankee Stadium for Mariano's last appearance ever.
Wow, really?
And that like and again, and we all knew it was gonna happen. They were actually losing the game. They brought him in, and the coolest thing I'd ever seen is after he got 2 outs, they let Andy Pettit and Derek Jeter come out to the
I
mound
did
so
see
he could
that.
and they
Yes, I
removed
remember
him, and
that.
then he got the whole walk off. But to like again, growing up down here in Georgia and to have watched what that cat did for so long, to be the best closer in baseball, to stand on that rubber 60 feet away and say, I you know what pitch is coming and you still can't hit it.
That
You
cutter,
know what's
son, that
coming
cutter
and
was
you
no
still won't
joke.
do nothing with it. He was sick, and to be in that stadium, hear that inner Sandman come in one last time, and then to see his reaction when he saw Jeter and Pettit come out of the dugout instead of it
Yeah,
was again,
just
I
crying.
no shame in him, and a grown ass man. I had tears in my eyes because I could imagine that's like what that is in that moment for all that whole entire party involved.
Off to Neverland. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, he's the greatest closer of all time that I've
One
seen. I
pitch,
mean, he's
you know
pretty
what's
dominant.
coming, and you ain't gonna do
Cutter.
nothing with it.
Can't touch a cutter, bro. That's just how it is. But Mariano, the Sandman, got it done, and we've seen it all too often with the Braves when he shut us down those times in those World Series. But just disgusting. Speaking of disgusting, I hate to say disgusting when you're talking about high schoolers, but Greg, White County is where my in-laws live and my sister-in-law, and
Pretty
I
conservative
love
area, isn't it?
very conservative, so I thought. I love going up to this area. It's beautiful. The mountains are in the background. It's a quiet little town, it seems. You go up there, you got little country mom and pop stores. Everybody knows everybody. You go up there and mention my brother-in-law's name, everybody seems to know him. I got good friends that live around here that grew up in White County, and I always say, man, when I go up there and we spend our time on that little piece of heaven that, we call Bel Leah, which is my in-laws' place. I'm like, "Man, I can see myself living up here." And my sister-in-law looks at me and she says, "I wish you would. However, you need to wait till the kids get out of school because they don't need to be going to these school systems." I'm like, "Well, listen, my kids aren't gonna be smart anyways. I mean, let's face it." But they're like, "No, I'm just telling you." Well, now I'm beginning more and more understand why that is the case, Greg, because they had a prom over the weekend and they crowned a prom king and queen. King is in quotation marks because they had a I'm confused on this. What do you is it a transgender boy or transgender girl if it's a boy trying to be a girl?
It's a mentally ill person.
I could not agree further. Of all the places you think that we would have somebody that would gonna be named King be an actual boy dressing as a girl, which I got problems with that too. Why is if he wants to be a she, why is he considered the king instead of the queen? But the point of the matter is, why is this happening in the first place?
You immediately jumped to like the 37th rung on the illogical ladder about why is he called king? That's where you go. All right, let me talk about that one. That's a logical fallacy. That's not the issue, David.
Well, here, let me show you the picture. This is I'm not gonna say their names because I don't want to talk about high schoolers because it's not the girl's fault. But the boy who got named King is transgender, it appears, is dresses like a girl. What school system would allow this to happen that would take away somebody being named King who's an actual king? If we're gonna have a king and king, just do away with the names. I don't understand what's going on. If this would happen in California, I would be like par for the course. But where this is taking place is way too close to home to me. I don't want to say disgust me because I want to be respectful to these young kids, but I blame the school system for allowing this to happen. I'm sorry.
Get back to this specific incident, but I'll share another little story. And again, we've got some friends of ours, and they've got a young son who is enrolled in a Christian prep school, and he was playing around one day, and he asked me if I would follow him on TikTok or something or another, and so I went and noticed he had his pronouns in his profile. I go, wait, you go to like a Christian day school, right? And he goes, yeah. He goes, but they told us that it's okay to put pronouns like in your profile just so people know what to call you. And I go, brother, you're an 11-year-old dude. We all know what to call you. You don't need
Yes.
to tell me like it's okay. And I'm sitting there going, like, they're even having these conversations about pronouns in Christian schools. And you go, White County, come on, dude. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's like Thomaston or Fort Valley having something like this happen. That's how off the tracks it is where you'd think something like this would happen. I just can't fathom it. But apparently it's becoming a buddy of mine. He said it's starting to happen more and more up there. And I don't understand why.
Here's the issue with it, David, and I hate to take this on some theological debate, but I think it's what needs to be addressed is we all sin. Like that, none of us are perfect. None of us have been or ever will be since Jesus Christ walked on this earth. The word sin it actually comes from an archery term. It's basically wording as in to miss the target. Sin means to miss the target. The issue with all this LGBTQ stuff and so much of the other stuff we're dealing with, it's not the sin itself. It's you're saying the target is wrong. We're celebrating it, we're promoting it, we're encouraging this crap. And that's basically saying that the target that God set is not the correct target, and wherever you want to aim is the right target. So look, I gamble. Gambling's a sin in a lot of people's eyes, but I'm not celebrating. I'm not trying to encourage it. I'm not trying to tell people to go make me a hero for doing it and put it out in public display. Like that's the thing. It's not the sin itself. And anytime, I have a conversation with somebody and this comes up, like it's not my place to judge you for the sin. I'm just trying to say, hey, you should at least be aiming for the right target. And if you're not going to make an effort to aim at the correct target, then we're not even dealing with the same faith or religious beliefs at that point.
Don't understand what's going on in White County. I just don't. Of all places, I don't like it anywhere, but in a place like White County, you just would never suspect it. But whoever's in charge of running White County is going nuts because they tried to hire a cross-dressing basketball coach at one point, which thankfully didn't happen. And now the rec department, which is of kids, is ran by a transgender. I'm sorry. If you want to be transgender, I'm totally cool with it. But there's certain things you can't do, and I don't think you should be running and taking in charge of kids. As far as running a rec department, when you got kids signing up for sports, they don't need to see that. That's not the place to put that out there. And hateful if you want, but that's my take.
And I mean, I think, and that's really the underlying, impetus of change. That's what's so drastically different now than, 20, 25 years ago. Obviously because of the social media influence and everything spreading, man, I bet you 80% of the LGBTQ mafia is just young kids that have no idea what's going on. They're confused as hell and they're just looking for some sort of identity. They blend in and fit in and feel accepted. But there's trying to frame this carefully. It is not affirmation in the truest sense if what you're affirming is untrue and a lie. That is not a positive occurrence to affirm somebody with something that is inaccurate and untrue. So affirming, you can do it kindly, but you can't affirm somebody without including them in on what is actually true and real. And I think that's the thing that we have to sometimes have those uncomfortable conversations, especially if you're gonna profess to be a person of faith, and if you're gonna profess, as I do, to try to lead a scriptural life. Well, sometimes you got to put yourself in uncomfortable conversations and go, look, this is what I believe to be true. Here's the scripture that supports it. And again, I'm not saying we all are going to hit the target. That's not the point. I just want to feel like we're all aiming towards the same target if we're going to call ourselves Christians.
Honestly, I don't have much issue with people that want to be transgender or want to dress, if you're a boy, want to dress like a girl. I have no issues with it as an adult. But there's certain things that happen when you do that that you can't be in charge of or you can't control. And I have no issue if a girl wants to take off her clothes and be on OnlyFans. You're not going to be around my kids, unfortunately. I can't have that happen. You can't be my kid's teacher. And if you want to be transgender, I have zero issue with it. You can't run the rec department. You can't be the coach. You can't be the prom king if you want to dress like a girl. That goes against what the king stands for. There's probably been a few kings back in the day. If you look at the way they dress, you probably that might be a bad argument to have. However,
Is there
you can
any
just
irony in the fact that the one that was promoted as the king would probably support the No Kings rallies?
good point. Very good point. How ironic would that be the case? If you want to have no kings, we they did well because we have no kings. We got 2 queens up there. That's the sad part. I don't know what I'm upset with more, the fact that a boy that dresses like a girl is named the king, or if you wanna be a girl, you should be the queen. It's ridiculous. Another story that happened here locally that's also upsetting, Lanier Christian Academy coach, you know, he just talked about it. Just because he has the name Christian in the school doesn't mean that there's gonna be all Christian people there. Things still happen. He got charged with taking pictures of young girls, multiple accounts. I will say his name, Joel Lolinski. F you, Joel, okay? You're a private school coach facing additional felony charge after investigators searched his phone and found abusive images of children on his device, separate from the dozens of previous recording charges. So he'd been recording kids, filming girls under the age of 17 during the school day, at inappropriate or, bad. I don't know if he went in the locker room or not, but this guy was a football coach and he got charged with that. So Joel Ernest Lilinski of Cleveland, which is where? White County. What in the F is going on in White County?
At the risk of stirring up all the feminists and yeah, what the hell? To me, if you're a male coaching any females, probably until at least high school, you should have nothing to do with it.
No.
And truth be told, and you could point out the examples of like Gino Ariema, and there have been some great male coaches of female lead teams, but just given the environments we live in, and with all the propensity for weird stuff to go down and accusations, and look, I'm sorry, maybe I'm just too damn old fashioned at this point, but I don't. The amount of males we deal with in elementary schools now is disturbing. I'm sorry, that is a female's job. Dealing with little kids is a female's job. We should not have a preponderance of males roaming around the elementary school halls. But you darn sure shouldn't have them coaching girls' teams. I'm sorry. There's too much propensity for something like this to happen. And given the society we live in, look, I'm comfortable saying I suspect most male teachers, some of them probably are leaning a little bit that way, and there's a reason why they want to get in that environment and be around kids and be around young girls.
I wouldn't go to that level now. You got a
You
lot of
didn't have to. I
coaches.
did.
You got a lot of coaches. I got a lot of good friends who are male teachers and coaches that are 100% not that way. But it has, like you said, the propensity for it to happen It makes it too easy for a creep to come in, like Joel Ernest Lolinski, 52 of Cleveland, White County. Good gosh, what's going on? He does live in Hall County now, but I don't understand this. It has to be a sickness in the brain for these kids, for you to want to see kids like this in a compromising position. There's so many adults. You can go to any site, you can go to Twitter, you can go wherever to see an adult person. You can have them do what you want. We talked about OnlyFans. Pay to do OnlyFans, something. Go somewhere to see it. You can even have them look like they look like they're underage. That's still disgusting in itself, but at least it's not an underage person. For you to go out and to film underage girls like that, especially in the sanctity of a school, a Christian school nonetheless, disgusting. I hope you get everything you asked for in prison. I hope you go to prison for a long time. That is absolutely disgusting. No excuse. Joel Alinsky, F you. I hope you get taken out slowly.
At the risk of putting way more thought into this than it deserves, I just feel like people like that you offer, there's other ways of hitting those needs. I think the sickness in those people, that it is the perverted nature of what they're doing that they need. So going online and paying for it is not going to fulfill them in any way. And that's there again. I'm not saying there aren't some good examples. And look, Lord knows, I mean, in school budgets these days, sometimes the head football coach also has to coach a girls' PE class. I mean, I get it. There are times and places, but there are people who you can clearly tell get into those education roles, get into those coaches roles, and you can look at them and tell they have no business being around young kids. And we've gotten, like, when you and I were in elementary school, there wasn't a lot of that. There's a lot more of it now, and that just scares me for where my grandkids are going to school. Like, it's going to be all transgender teachers by then, because that's the way the education system promotes things.
I'm not for bullying. I'm 100% not for bullying. However, if this kid who was the prom king up in White County went to Upson Lee back in the early 90s, I promise you he would have been bullied enough to where he wouldn't have came dressed like a female. And that's where bullying has its advantages.
What
You I
restroom you think he was using that night?
I I hope that issue, first off, don't roll up in the female restroom. That's for damn sure. But there's a family restroom in most places. If you want to go in there, that's fine. But don't roll up in a female's bathroom if you're a male. I'm sorry. And I would, if I had a daughter and a male tried to roll up in there, I would beat the brakes off of that guy. And you're like, well, that's not fair. He's blah, 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 this and that or whatever. It's not the fact that he may be completely innocent. But if we start allowing that to happen, there's going to be a pedophile like Joel Alinsky or whoever I just talked about that will fake dress up like a female and go into these bathrooms to take pictures of the people. This is a guy who doesn't even act dressed like that, taking pictures of underage girls. You think somebody's not going to be creepy enough to dress like one and try to go in there? It's not the people that are dressing that are really like you think you're a female, whatever. It's the perverts. I think we're underestimating the perverts.
Is 100% it. It is the amount of people that are using, us trying to be accepting and tolerant of the true people who have some issues. And again, there's still mental health issues, but we can work through them. We can be compassionate. We can be kind, even if we don't agree. But it has become such a thing where, I'm sorry, it's the streak we went on for 3 or 4 years where the gay pride parades were all over the place in public, using kids, and like that is a sickness, and that is not okay. You and I talk, and and I'd been trying to get you to do this for a while. And then I think, when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, I think that was the impetus for both of us, because we've all heard the say that, in order for evil to succeed, all it takes is for good men to do nothing. And I am far from willing to call myself a good man, but I am willing to stand up for what I believe to be right. And I know I'm going to offend some people, and I'm going to continue to offend some people. I'm going to offend people in my own household at times, but I'm going to tell you what I believe to be true. And I'm going to tell you that as much as possible, I'm trying to get it from the word. It's not always accurate, and I'm not always the greatest theological person out in the world, but it is where I'm trying to come from. And I think the Bible's pretty clear when it comes to these gender and sexual issues. It's pretty damn clear.
Breaking my heart seeing what's happening to old beautiful White County up there. I just want to go get a Dairy Spot burger, and I got to worry about that going on. I don't can't have a kid sign up. No wonder my brother-in-law, sister-in-law have their kids play travel sports because good Lord, if the rec department's ran by somebody who wants to dress up weird, that's going to be odd enough.
This would be a really good time to tell people, and I think we've brought this up before. Get involved. get involved local. Like that's the thing. So many people vote every 4 years in November and don't vote ever again. Damn sure don't get involved in primaries and local elections. Who even knows who their tax commissioner are and people that make the decisions? But these are the decisions, like you said, that are affecting the kids, the kids that are growing up in your backyard. We all can do more than what we're doing. You and I get on here and spew a few words here and there, and hopefully somebody listens and decides that they're going to act. But look around you. Like let's all make an effort to talk to the people in our neighborhoods, in our school systems, and figure out how can we get involved. Who should we vote for? Because so much of this stuff is just because we stuck our head in the sands and we've let it go pretty darn far now. But if we don't start standing up on some of this stuff, we're going to get past the point of no return.
Damn it, White County. They need to clean house and vote in all new people. If they're not man enough to stand up for things like this going on, then somebody needs to get in there that does. I wish my father-in-law would be great, but he would be too far. It would be a different ball game. Let's just say that. Feelings would be hurt. Feelings would be hurt, and then we'd make the news, but not for this reason. We'd make news for other reasons. I can assure you that if he was to get involved, I hope he does, but I hope he doesn't at the same time because he'd have a heart attack. He'd be working so damn hard to clean house up there. But White County, get your S together. I can't say it enough. I love the place as much as I do where I live now. I've been blessed to live in both Thomaston, which I love, Macon, which I loved and met a few good friends, one who's across from me now, and then Flower Branch, and then White County. I hope to end up one day, but not if you do this shit. Not if you got this going on.
Well, and let me take a moment, and I'm pretty confident in saying that none of the folks listening to this are going to fall into this category, so it's completely inapplicable. But I do want to state my case. So if you are on that side, and if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus whatever it is, now look, we don't hate you, we just don't support you, we just don't agree with you. And I'm telling you from our perspective, and I want you to hear this, what we say is, whether it sounds like it or not, is coming from a place of love and trying to help you find the right path, or at least the path we believe to be right. We're not judging you in any way, and we certainly don't hate you. We're just telling you we think you're making some wrong decisions, and we're trying to help you get some clarity in life. I think we have to all be willing to have some of those conversations. And you can love somebody and care about them and completely disagree with something they do. It happens all the time. You're married, I'm married. It happens all the time. And so I think that was part of the episode I was releasing today, was to realize that, there are two sides to every coin. And, I was talking about a little bit on our episode with the whole SAVE Act about voting. I 100% want to get any illegal or ineligible person off the voter rolls. 100%. You should have to be a documented citizen and you should have to prove it to vote.
Not asking too much.
By the same token, I absolutely don't want anybody disenfranchised or to lose their right to vote if they have it legally. I'm not trying to take voting rights away from women or away from other race. I don't care. I want only eligible citizens to vote. Both of those can be true. But as soon as you mention the SAVE Act, you're some racist, bigoted, sexist that you're trying to disenfranchise millions of Americans. Nope, that ain't what I said. I said I only want Americans to vote. There's a difference. And somewhere, even as lousy as our administrators in Congress is, there should be a way to come up with the system that can execute both things, that we can get anybody who shouldn't be able to vote out of the system and make sure that anybody who should be able to vote remains in the system. It can't be that hard. Why is this the type of thing that completely divides our country? It makes no sense.
Tell me they shouldn't show voter ID. Yeah, like you can't do that. Why don't you have the same argument for getting everybody an ID? Make it where IDs are free. If it's so hard for somebody to pay the $10 to get an ID or whatever it costs, and that's the holdup, and they can't find rides, why don't you make it an issue where you can do it? Get a group together that goes around and gets people that want an ID to go get an ID.
Now, truth
That's
be told,
the bigger issue.
If I was really in charge, I would be more than happy to put some sort of IQ test required before you can vote, because let's be real, I think we'd be better off if some folks didn't. But under the current system, everybody should be able to vote, and that's the way it is.
Well, the big thing is that not everybody can get an ID. Well, why don't you have an argument for people able to get ID other than just being like, well, that's why they can't show ID to vote. You should still show ID to vote. Just make it where you can get an ID for free.
If you can't get an ID or you aren't or whatever, you aren't participating in society. What are the chances you're voting anyway? Like legit, if you haven't taken the time to go get a damn ID, are you really going to go vote? In no way.
That's kind of your IQ test for voting. If you can't get an ID, Now they have made it a little difficult with the new stuff. You got to bring in all the information, but still, it's not that damn hard. If you can't figure it out that, then why should I trust your vote and who you should vote for? Good
Yeah,
point.
it's some crazy times, man. We're having
Well,
conversations about stuff that again we titled the show "Common Sense Superheroes," and half the time I just shake my head, go, "Man, why is this the stuff we're even having to discuss?"
wild times, Gregory. I wouldn't even have a big issue with the guy that ended up getting the king up there. If he was just a gay guy, I wouldn't even be as upset about it. But the fact that he dresses like a girl, that's the part that disturbs me for some reason. Because I'm sorry, you're not a king if that's the case. You just took away the position from somebody.
Well, and like you said, homosexuality I still believe to be a sin, but I don't believe that is a challenging of God's natural order of things as far as creation. Like I firmly believe God creates us, He knows us in the womb, and I don't think our God makes mistakes. So if God makes you with male parts, He intended you to be a male. Now, that's a lot simpler in black and white than most folks want to hear it right now, but that's what I believe. I think if you come out of the womb of male, you were put in the womb of male, you were put in the womb of male on purpose by our God, and that's how He loves you. He wants you to be that way. Now, it's not saying it's always going to be easy, and I'm not saying you may not go through some confusion and some struggles, and I'll be there for it. We can talk through things, we can have all the chats you want, but I'm never going to affirm or confirm a lie. Will not happen.
I think I have the best take for myself is the fact that I could care two S's what you do as an adult, as long as you're not harming other people. Now, if you're a kid or under 18 and things like that, I don't want to see stuff pushed on you. I don't want to see a narrative pushed. I don't want to see you getting hormone, all that stuff. That's where I have a problem. But when you get old enough and are of age, I don't care what you want to do if it's you. Two consenting adults do whatever the hell you want to do. I could care less. Don't have a problem at all. Not mine to judge.
I
But
mean, that
underage, that's where I have a problem. And with
that part of the
kids.
debate is so absurdly cleanly to art. Like again, if you can't buy a cigarette, you should not be able to have major surgery that chops off body parts.
I don't
Like to
understand.
me, that's like again look, for body stuff. If you are not old enough to get a tattoo, you're not old enough to sign off on a surgery.
Again, we say it all the time, but how has common sense turned into a superpower? And that's why we are the common sense superheroes. Beliefs, ballots, and bets is what you need to sign into to get more word of God and his takes on issues that are controversial, but not all the time controversial. But he will do that. And then he'll throw some numbers at you. He got the Cardinals, I think, over the Mets. Oh, the Marlins,
No, the
excuse me.
Marlins.
You got the Cardinals over the Marlins. That's the kind of insight you can get. You'll get a Bible verse, then you'll get a betting line. So that's what's great about beliefs, ballots, and bets. You can catch that. You gonna try to do it every day, or do you say like every few days?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to put out 8 to 10 minutes a day, just some scriptural thoughts for kind of what we're going through, and then unfortunately, I said one of my sins is gambling, and so I'm hopeful that some of the other degenerates out there might decide to listen to me for the gambling information and get the biblical stuff with it. Maybe we can maybe along the way we can change the hearts of a few folks. But yeah, it's got a few bets on the show today. I'm gonna try to do it every morning and get it out by before lunch. But from time to time I get preoccupied with having too much of a blessed life and might forget to record.
Beliefs, ballots, and bets. Sign up for that on your podcast, wherever you get podcasts. Front Porch with David, you'll find on this same little channel that we do here. I'm gonna try to do that 2 to 3 times a week, maybe less, maybe two. I don't know. But as always, thank you for checking in to Common Sense Superheroes. We're up to number 28, which is a big deal for us. We appreciate everything. Click, subscribe, go to YouTube, Instagram, follow our socials, TikTok, where you'll see a lot more of me than you will Greg, apparently. Check that out. But thanks for tuning in to Common Sense Superheroes. I'm your host, David. That's Gregory. Greggy, any words of advice before we leave?
Get in your Bible, say your prayers, love each other, and tell the truth.
Amen. Until next time,
God
guys.
bless.
Peace.